Andy Secor here from Make Shots Basketball Training with part 6 of the 7-part series on different elements of the shot that I analyze the first couple of times I watch a player shoot. Today we're going to focus on hand position just after release. So it's probably one of the areas that I focus on a little bit more than other shooting coaches you might follow. 3 things that I most focus on. First, that the shooting hand is online with the rim. So you can see here, we have Tommy, Olivia, Cam, and Avery. So the first thing I'm watching is how online is their right hand or their shooting hand rim grab. I train kids to hold finishes with that right hand because I want them to make sure that they finish the last 10% of the shot, something that many players don't do. But I also want them to be able to self-assess what their shooting hand alignment looks like. So you can see here, if you were to look at all 4 of their shooting hands, it would be different type of alignment between how many of them are finishing left of the rim, right on line with the rim, or right of the rim. Second, we want that guide hand to be really vertical with fingers to the ceiling, which we talked about in the last video. And then third is how connected those 2 hands are. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit right now. Why that's important to me is that I spend a lot of time with players making sure the right hand is doing its job and the left hand is doing its job. The best way to evaluate that is how connected those 2 hands are. By that I mean the number of inches between the 2 hands at release. So how far apart are Tommy's hands? How far apart are Olivia's hands? How far apart are Cam's hands? How far apart are Avery's hands? The closer they are, the more I can tell they're creating positive energy and momentum at the target. The further apart they drift, the more I can tell that one of them is pushing one direction and the other hand is likely trying to compensate for it. So let's take a look at a couple different pictures of really good shooters that have varying lengths of connection. There's no one correct length, but too far apart or hands crossing does mean the hands might be fighting each other a little bit. So you can see here, there's the connection for Olivia, here's Tommy, here's Avery, and here's Cam. These would be players that I would say finish maybe a little further apart connected than others. Let's take a look at some players that kind of finish maybe around the medium length of connection. So Megan here, Elena, Riley, and Theron. They're not super close in terms of like 1 or 2 inches, but they're not like 6 or 7 either. So maybe a medium type of connection. Here's another group of players that kind of have a medium length of connection. Emma, Austin, you got Brady here, Chance right here. And then maybe a few players that are a little bit more closely connected, as you can see with Maddie's hands, Jillian's hands, Ethan's hands, and then Brody's hands. They are a little bit closer in terms of that connection. So what we're looking at is the right hand doing its job in terms of finishing online at the rim, or is it coming across and colliding with the left hand or trailing to the right? And then is the left hand doing its job in terms of staying completely vertical, not impacting the shot, and staying on line? So as you take your next few shots, check your hands after release. How far apart are they? What might that be telling you? Work towards a connected finish to make sure your hands are working with each other to make shots and not against each other. I'll be back next time to talk about our last shooting element that I look at when I evaluate shooting, which is ball rotation.